Most professionals think storytelling is about being memorable. It's not. Storytelling is about moving somebody's or someone's decision. If you don't understand that distinction, you'll entertain people, but you won't persuade them. Today I want to show how storytelling actually works in everyday conversations, not just on stage, not in a keynote speech, but in negotiations, disagreements, even idea pitches. There are 3 layers to persuasive storytelling. The first is context, then there's conflict and consequences. Most people skip the conflict. They jump straight to the point. And when you remove tension, you remove leverage. If you're pitching an idea at work, instead of saying something like, we need to change our onboarding process, you say something like this: 3 months ago, we lost a candidate because our onboarding took 18 days. He told us it felt disorganized. That cost us not just a hire, but it cost us momentum. Now you've created context, you've introduced the tension, and you've made the consequences visible. That's persuasive structure. Now here's a case study. I worked with a senior leader who kept losing budget approvals. He had the data, he had the slides, he had the charts, all of the stuff, but he had no narrative. So we reframed his approach. Instead of leading with metrics, he started with this or something like this: last quarter, our competitor launched in a market we exited 5 years ago. At the time, we said it was too risky. Today, they're up 18% in the segment. Then he paused, and then he walked through the numbers. Now, the numbers had emotional gravity. The board approved the funding, not because the math had changed, because the story framed the math. Now, here's another example for conflict resolution. This is a big one. Now, let's talk about the conflict. Most people argue facts, but conflict rarely resolves at the fact level. It resolves at the identity level. If someone says, "You never listened to me," the defensive response is, "That's not true." The persuasive response is story-based. Let's give an example of that. Last week, when you were explaining the client issue, I interrupted. I thought I was helping. I can see now how that felt a little dismissive. Now you're not debating the accusation, you're reframing the narrative of who you are. Stories often soften ego without surrendering authority. It works well in cross-cultural as well. This becomes even more important. In some cultures, direct persuasion is respected. In others, indirect narrative is far more effective. For example, in American business settings, a story can be brief and punchy. In many Asian business contexts, credibility is built through relational narrative first. Who was involved, how the relationship developed, what the broader impact was. If you rush to the point without relational context, you can appear abrupt, even untrustworthy. The structure says the same, or stays the same, but the pacing changes. Persuasion isn't just what you say, it's how much relational runaway or relational pathway you build before you say it. Now, there are some common pitfalls, and I'll start with 3 common ones. 1, it's too long. If the story loses tension, you lose control. It could be too self-focused, too. If you're the hero, you lose relatability. And there could be no clear consequence as well. It's got to be very clear. If nothing is at stake, nothing moves. Every persuasive story needs tension. If there's no cost, there's no urgency. Now here's a role play contrast. Let me show you the difference. A weak approach would be, we need to improve communications on this team. That doesn't really help much at all. A stronger approach would be something like this. 2 weeks ago, the client escalated because they got 3 different answers from us. That wasn't competence issue. It was alignment. If we don't fix that, it's not just a process problem, it's a reputation problem. So you got the same idea from both of those, but a different impact. One is a suggestion, the other is a decision trigger. Now, I'm going to give you a challenge. Here's your assignment. In your next conversation, whether it's a pitch, disagreement, or a leadership moment, don't argue your point. Frame it as, what happened? What it cost? What happens next if nothing changes? Then watch what shifts. And I want you to test it. Try it this week. Then come back and tell me, did the conversation move faster? Did the conversation resistance, was it lower? Did the alignment increase? Most professionals try to win with information. High-level communicators win with narrative structure. If you control the story, you control the frame. And if you control the frame, you often control the outcome. I'll see you in the next one.